Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you for being here this morning, taking time out of your busy schedule to participate in the Chancellor's Initiative International Fraud Awareness Week. This is the fourth year that the Office of Internal Audit has presented activities during this week. And today we have a presentation on fraud, waste, and abuse that will be presented by Zaina and Edgars. We hope you'll learn something from it. It's intended to bring awareness, to bring education, and there will be a session at the end if you have questions to go ahead and ask those at that time. So at this time, I'll ask Zaina to come on up.
I'm Zaina Latif, Senior Auditor here at Albany State University. Today we'll be talking about what is fraud, waste, and abuse. A wonderful lady, Pearl Bailey, she left us with a beautiful quote. She was an actress and singer, and she won a Tony Award in 1960. And she left us with, the first and worst of all frauds is to cheat oneself. All sin is easy after that. What is fraud? Fraud is a false representation of a matter of fact, whether by words or by conduct, by false or misleading allegations, or by concealment of what should have been disclosed, that deceive and is intended to deceive another. Fraud is typically a deception deliberately practiced in order to secure unfair or unlawful gain. Simply put, fraud is an illegal act involving the obtaining of something of value through willful misrepresentation. Examples of fraud: theft, claiming hours worked, spent otherwise. It's like clocking into ADP, claiming you were here, knowing you were somewhere else. Taking kickbacks or bribes, using a vendor that's willing to give you something on the side if you will deliver a whole lot of business their way. Travel reimbursement schemes, claiming expenses that you know that you didn't incur. Misappropriation and misuse of property. A good example for that one would be Albany State, using Albany State property at, let's say you have a family reunion and you was able to get someone on campus to bring over tables and chairs, knowing that you have not requested those on that property or have paid a fee to use that property. That is misappropriation of property. Misuse of confidential information. We all here at Albany State University, in our positions, we have access to a lot of students and employees' personal information. Using that information to some vendor, to solicitations of employees, fraud, to scam others. That is misappropriation and misuse of confidential information. Unauthorized use of IT systems or networks. We had a problem here with that. Let's say a professor have given a student their personal password. That student went out there and basically changing grades in the system, and that is unauthorized use of the system. You were not authorized to go out there and do that. And that professor was not allowed to give his or her personal password to a student. And conflict of interest. Let me go back to that one. We have had issues and problems here on the campus with conflict of interest. It appears that a lot of people don't seem to understand what that means, and I'm gonna give the definition of that. Conflict of interest happens when a situation arises that benefits an employee while affecting your organization. It becomes a conflict of interest. Employees are bound through their company code of conduct to act in the interest of their employer and not for their own personal gain or for the gain of their friends. It benefits the employees and it affects the organization. I'll give you an example right now. Let's say, I'm just gonna make something up. let's say that Patani have a Patani bar and grill. Oh, he's my friend and everything. I work in student affairs. And let's say I'm in a position of power where I could choose vendors for us to use. And I decide, oh, I'm going to, instead of using Sedeco or Aladdin or Airmark or whatever on the approved list of vendors for Albany State University, I'm going to just direct a whole lot of business Edgar Patani's way. So at Edgar's Patani Bar and Grill now, he is now catering pretty much all events for student affairs. And to the detriment of Albany State University, where we could have got a better rate, but we're now using him to cater all of our events. And that is a big conflict of interest because it's benefiting, I'm helping my friend to benefit, but in a sense, Albany State University is losing because we could have got a lower rate. What is waste and abuse? Waste. The expenditure or allocation of resources in excess of what is of need that is often extravagant and careless. Abuse. The intentional, wrongful, or improper use of resources. Abuse may be a form of wastefulness, as it entails the exploitation of loopholes to the limit of the law, primary for personal advantage. Examples of waste and abuse. Ordering office supplies in excess of what you need at year end. Let's say that you know that you're only gonna need maybe 3 boxes of paper from office supplies. But you know, we have a lot of money left over in our budget, and I'm gonna order maybe 10 or 13 boxes. That's waste. Requesting new computer system because your department budget can't support it. We now done went and ordered, let's say you go order a whole bunch of laptops, computers. This happened here at Albany State University a few years back. And basically you have all of those computers just sitting down there in center and receiving, and everyone's freaking out because, oh, are they going obsolete down there? Well, there was all of this additional Title III and state funds that everyone's like, well, we didn't want to give back the money to the state. That's waste, and that's abuse. Taking classes continuously with no plan, graduation date in order to receive financial aid refunds. To an extent, we're probably still dealing with that now. If you're an employee here that's been here working for 6 months, you are approved for the tuition assistance program. You probably hear the word TAP. TAP pays for up to 9 credit hours. It will pay for you to pretty much go to Albany State University for free. Your tuition and expenses are covered. So therefore, you're an employee here, you have a job, that is, in a sense, it's paying for your house, your roof, it's paying for your food, it's paying for your clothes, your car, but now you're signing up for unsubsidized loans. And let's say you come in here and you already have an undergraduate degree. That's mean now you're in the master's program. You're an independent student. So in a sense now, this is where the loophole come in. This is where the federal financial aid loophole is in. Because you now qualify for $20,000 of unsubsidized loans that you don't need. And let's say your only expense you really had that semester for each semester was just books. That was it. So let's say your books and supplies came out to $500 a semester. So why are you requesting all of these additional unsubsidized loans, receiving $8,000 to $10,000 refund checks every semester? That's waste and abuse. Athletic events. Allowing free interest to family, friends, or unauthorized personnel. Oh, I'm working over here on gate 6. I'll let you in. You're my friend. I'll let you come on in. Just come over here. Grading or evaluating unfairly based upon friendship, organization membership, or participate in collegiate activities, athletics. Well, this is my friend. Let's say all of us, we working on the same project together. But I hang out with this person. I'm gonna give everyone else who worked on the project a B. But then, I'm friends with this individual. We all hang out, we're in the same clique. I'm gonna give this one an A. That's unfair advantage, and that's abuse. Why people commit fraud. And you see above a picture of the fraud triangle. In the fraud triangle, it is a framework for spotting high-risk fraud situations. And there are 3 areas. It's rationalization, pressure, and opportunity. Rationalization is you have personal justification for dishonest actions. Pressure, financial or emotional forces pushes you towards that fraud. And opportunity, you have the ability to execute that plan without being caught. And examples of rationalization, entitlement, underpaid, overworked. Let's just say, oh, I'm the first one that arrives on campus and I'm the last one that leaves every day. I'm entitled. So I'm just gonna go ahead and, I have access to this cash. I'm hard up, I'm gonna take it. I'm entitled. Just borrowing. I'll pay it back later. I'm just gonna borrow it. Just this one time. I'm not gonna do this again. I'm just gonna take the money just this one time. And by the way, going to the last one on the list, as you have plenty of money, they wouldn't notice. They done me wrong. I've been loyal to this organization for all of these years, and then these people just come here and they treating me badly. It don't matter. That still don't give you the right to steal from this organization. All of us, if you've been here, Social Security Administration asks people to do 35 years of working somewhere. Within that 35 years period, at some point, it don't matter if you at the bottom or if you at the top of an organization, all of us has been done wrong. It don't matter if it's at the beginning of your career, the middle of your career, the end of your career. We all have experience. You speak to anyone in here, we all have a story. So that is not justification for ripping off an organization. There is no other ways to manage my problems. Find a way. You think you don't have a way now? The police department find out about it, you're gonna have more problems than you think you have now. And like I said, the justification is, Albany State have plenty of money. That is not a justification for fraud. Pressure, financial need. Ooh, I got children going off to college, I got college tuition, just brought a new car, new house. Oh, we on our way to Hawaii and London. I gotta take this money. I got all these financial pressures on me. Problems. Unexpected medical bills. You never know when those gonna happen. That happens to all of us, you don't know. Aging parents or grown children moving in. Employee spouse has lost his or her job. Employee has a drug, alcohol, or gambling problem. Those problems. Incentive, increased bottom line or receive a bigger bonus pay increase. This affected Wells Fargo. Their sales force was out there adding additional accounts to employees. You sign up for a checking account, but now they done add on you a money market account, a savings account, an IRA, just so that their sales force could increase the bottom line. That's pressure. And everyone does it. Let's say I'm working in the office. Everyone in there is on the tap. Everyone in there is signing up for unsubsidized loans, so therefore they all receiving huge refund checks. Everyone's in here doing it, so I'm gonna do it too. Opportunity. Weak internal controls. Lack of segregation of duties. Inadequate policies and procedures. Let's say Let's say that there's a department and they collect cash. And the same individual that collects the cash, they also receipts the cash, they transmit the cash, and then they takes the money over there to the financial operations. That is very weak internal controls because the opportunity for fraud is great in that particular area. There is no checks and balance. Complex or unstable organization structure. Constant changing of middle management. For some reason, let's say it's a particular department or several departments where it just appears that every 6 months to a year, there's new leadership in that department. That's a very unstable work environment. And therefore, if there are financial incentives in that department for people to steal, it is great. Indifferent management, I just don't care. I just don't care. Ineffective monitoring of management, and that is where an organization can really get in trouble. Because in that sense, senior management or higher ups, let's say vice presidents, that have control of financial information, they have the opportunity to create a larger fraud than any low-level employee that maybe would have stole a couple $1,000s. They higher up, they have the advantage to steal the hundreds of thousands and millions. They don't have anyone watching. So if there's inadequate monitoring of management, we hear about it on the news several years from now. Significant related party transactions. It just appears that we always using this person. Why is I'm always using Patani Bar and Grill? Why is I'm always using them to cater every event here at Albany State University? A lot. Simple transaction made complex through disjointed recording process. We've seen this. Let's say that, and I'm gonna make something up. Let's say that someone have to pay a $200 fee with a check. And on the transmittal, only thing they had to do was they said, well, 100 is supposed to go for this security deposit, 50 is going to this event that my child gonna participate in, and another 50 to something else. So that's mean on the transmittal, it should have been, that $200 should have been divided out, $100 on this, you have the same person together where you spelling out with each part what it was for. But no, this is what you see. You'll see $50 on one transmittal with a copy of that check. Two weeks from now, I may be able to see the $100 on a different transmittal with a copy of that exact same check. And then 3 months from now, let's say there's the other 50 is showing up on another transmittal. It's like, how in the world did management not catch this? We catching it, I see it, this look weird to me. Complex or difficult to understand transactions. And that still goes back to the transaction that's made complex. If it's hard for other people to understand why this transaction like this, the external auditors is gonna struggle, internal auditor is gonna struggle. We all ask some questions, it's like, what's happening here? Why this isn't simple? Why we done divided it out where it was a simple transaction? Why is it just so complex now? Methods of detecting fraud. And these are the main methods that you see for detecting fraud. Tips. They always say if you see something, say something. That is the main one. Internal controls, policies and procedures. Processes. Having written policies and procedures and processes that everyone's supposed to follow. Internal audits, they're only 14%. Because you see that tips was 42% and internal controls were 33%. Internal audits is only 14%. Accident. There's only a 7% chance that, let's say that someone stapled a copy of their fraud to another document. Someone accidentally came upon that. 7% chance. And other, 6%. That's law enforcement, external auditors coming in, catching it, and spontaneous confessions, which is rare. But you know, 75% of it is you, and that comes back to the tips and internal controls. That 42% and that 33% adds up to that 75%. So that's the part where you play a part in this, where you let people know if something's happening, where you, while following the internal controls, you notice that something is wrong. You say, hey, this is not the way the policy, you say, why is it being all of a sudden being done this way? You know, you looking at it. You looking hard at this particular transaction. They say something's weird happening here. And that is where that 75% of you comes in. Okay, thank you.
I'm going to continue from where Zena stopped. It's one presentation, so we're just going to continue. She just alluded that the method of detecting fraud, 75% is actually you, so that is very important. The typical fraud perpetrators, who are those people that are fraudsters? It's not written in my head, fraudster, when I walk across campus. Nobody knows who that person is. But this just kind of gives us an understanding of the key items we look into when we're looking at people that perpetuate fraud. The first one we're looking at, about 42% are staff level employees, 36% are middle level managers, 2/3 are male, and 47% had worked for the victim organization for less than 6 years. And you have about 45% work in accounting. That is our area, primary operations, sales functions of the organization. 87% of actually those people have criminal history of fraudulent behavior. And 44% are known to be living above their means. But that is very tricky because you need to understand people. You don't see somebody just driving a BMW or a Jaguar or a dream car like, he's a fraudster. You don't know them. This is just statistics. But you have to really be careful in discerning what people lifestyle. He might come from a very wealthy family. He might have an inheritance. There are so many other things you have to look into. But don't just go ahead accusing people based on this. And you can just say, oh, the data says 45% actually work in accounting. You're an accountant. Then you're a fraudster. It doesn't work that way. Okay? So let's be careful. All right. Red flags. What are those things that kind of, lead us to look into area more carefully? So these are red flags. These are things, and this is what informs internal audit when we do our assessment, when we do risk assessment. These are the things we look into to, point us to direction in which we have to look even more closer to see if there are elements of fraud, waste, or abuse. The first one we're looking into is segregation of duties. Because we know if one person has the power, to whom more is given, more is expected. If one person has the power to collect money, write a deposit, take the same cash to the bank, we trust you a lot, because that trust, he can do it for 10, 20 years. But the time is going to come in which something's just going to happen, like I've been doing this for nobody even check. Let me just borrow. They don't steal, they just borrow. Let me just borrow $20. They start with $20, $50. No, I'll put it back. At times, maybe they start putting it back. But as it goes on, you know how the story goes. Then one day you find out. So we don't want to put you in the situation in which we're even tempted. So that's why we want to segregate duties. Especially, the more liquid the assets are, the more tempting it is that we have to segregate those duties. We understand some departments, budgetary constraints might make it impossible for us to segregate those duties, but we have to put what we call compensatory controls to make sure we're protecting you. The manager is protecting themselves to make sure we don't come into a situation in which is unpleasant for everybody. Inadequate or missing record. One of the first things fraudsters do, they commit an offense, papers going to disappear. You come from a trip and because you did something you're not supposed to do, suddenly I can't find my receipt. It's okay, people misplace receipt at times, I do sometimes too, but if it's a pattern of missing receipt each time you come on a trip, we might want to dig deeper, okay? Lack of or inadequate account reconciliation. We cannot, Zena just alluded to that earlier, we cannot really reconcile your accounts because you intentionally make it so complex. What should be so easy is now a lot of explanation into a simple transaction, all right? So that is a red flag. Then management attitude. Management, when we say management, managers, supervisors, your attitude, your employees pick up on your attitude. When you have that attitude of, just do it, I don't really care, nobody cares about us too much, nobody's even watching me. I come to work every day doing all this work, that promotion, they watch you. Your employees are listening to you. And if you don't care, then you're giving them a leeway to do something crazy because you don't care, they don't care. So let's be careful what we say and how we conduct ourselves, especially when you have the responsibility having others reporting to you, okay? So financial pressures, we talked about that. You're having hard times, medical bills, family situations, and things of that nature. So that is a red flag. Complex accounting systems. We should try to simplify our recording, especially liquid transactions like cash, as much as we could, because the more complex it is, the more it's difficult to understand. And when it's difficult to understand, there's going to be people trying to be smart to beat the system. We have small numbers of employees within that has all the knowledge. One person knows it all. If Edgar is not in the office, everything stops. When you call to do something, he's on vacation. You have to wait till he comes from vacation. That's not good enough. There's a reason we call it an institution. I always explain to people. It's not Edgar and Company. It's an institution. What does that mean? It's a going concern. It continues. It doesn't stop because you're not here. Okay, we love you so much. You are so valuable, and you walk around telling yourself, without you, things can't go right here. Hello? If only you can just watch yourself if something happened to you. We're going to have those minutes of silence, but work will continue. Nobody's even going to think anything was missing. Work goes on. That's what we have to remind ourselves. So we have those knowledge. Let's share it. Let people know what you do so that when you're not there, other people could continue. People calling on the other side of the phone, they don't know you're on vacation. They don't know A or B is out of the office. They just want to be served. They want service to go on. And that is what we should elude every day. You don't have to explain anything. Someone is going on vacation, whatever they're doing, make sure it is well covered before they leave. Employees takes no vacation or time off. When people are sitting on things people don't want to see, they never seek. They're like working so hard, I don't want to go on vacation. When you say, I'm going to just take a few days off, I'll be right back, don't worry about it. That's a red flag, okay? And these are the things we look into. When these things exist, we look deeper to see what is going on. It could be nothing, it could be something. But these are the things that leads us to the direction in which you want to look into. And there are some special areas too that are, susceptible to fraud. What are those areas? Cash related. That is why some offices, they don't even collect cash. Because, it's just like the gas station, they collect cash. Guess what you see in the news? People coming to rob them because they know there's cash in there, right? So whatever you have attracts some people. So cash is an area of high risk. So anywhere, any office is collecting cash, we want documentation, carbonated receipts, and deposit slips, sequence of transactions, take care to make sure every aspect of that is documented. Next to that is credit cards. We talk about travel procurement because it's very easy to use your credit card. At times, before you even seek authorization or approval, the transaction has been completed before we see it. So you have to make sure everything you're doing is according to policies and procedures and guidelines before you swipe those cards. Payroll, that is another area. Time, because it's money. Everything runs to money. People want to be paid, but with regards to payroll, we have to be careful. Time and effort, you're being compensated for your time and effort, and you're not trying to circumvent the system in which you've been paid for being on vacation, okay, except it's earned vacation. Purchasing, that is another area, because we're dealing with vendors. And at times you could be a very great purchasing officer, but people out there, they've dealt with different organizations. They'll come to you. Like the case with the Marine base, they actually approached a company because they want the business. They started little, and they ran into millions of dollars. And now they're looking at jail terms and restitution. So you don't want to put yourself in that situation. Information systems and critical data. That is an area now we're looking, everything is technology. Passwords and passcodes have access. You could unlock, you say, there's no cash or money involved. Yes, there are, because they are protecting very valuable assets. And we all were here looked into the issues of grades the other time. As an educational institution, integrity of data is of high importance to our being as an institution. So when we say you graduated with so-so grade, that is what you earn. It's very important we protect those data. Facility management. We're not just picking up an area. We call it facility management for reasons. They have a lot of facilities and equipment they are managing. Lawnmowers, cars, everywhere. So we have a lot of resources that are out there that are being managed in this particular department. And because they are resources, we are custodians of the resources as employees of the state of Georgia. It's a big privilege we've been given. A lot of people are applying every day just to get your position. So if you say, I don't think I like what I'm doing, somebody will say, thank you so much. A lot of people are waiting just to get into your situation, okay, into your position. So we are grateful for the trust, and please don't betray that particular trust you've been bestowed upon. Reporting fraud, waste, and abuse. It's an everyday activity. You don't just wait for International Fraud Awareness Week, in which we create awareness for you to be aware of the parameters we put in place. The University System of Georgia has been very generous and very encouraging as an institution or as a board of regents. They put in place mechanism for us to go through this process in which we can help ourselves. We can help ourselves. Like the motto is like, you see something, say something. So they put in place mechanisms for us to go out there and report issues relating to fraud, waste, and abuse. So we come into those, we have some paperwork out there on the hotline that we're distributing right there, and we're going to show that in the following slides. Okay? Then the Office of Internal Audit. We are here to make sure your policies and procedures and add value to the institution. From time to time, we have people walk into our office. If they don't feel right about something, they want to say something, they come to our office and they could trust whatever they share with us is confidential. That's one place, it's part of our profession. We cannot jeopardize our profession for friendship or family because we don't want to go home. Like my supervisor will always say, you want to go home? You don't want to go home. So I have young kids, and I have a wife. I just have to leave it there, okay? She needs stuff too, right? So I don't want to go home losing my job. All right. Internal audit role in fraud prevention and detection. What do we do? Because a lot of people think we are just, when you say you're internal auditor, you walk into somewhere and people stop talking. It's the auditor is here, don't talk. No, we're not. First of all, we are your friend. There's a reason we have the internal in front of, before the audit. Internal auditor, it means we are part of your organization. It's an internal aspect. We have internal and external. I don't want to say hate the external auditor, but the internal auditor is you. We try to prepare you and everything. We want us to look good, because guess what? If the external auditor comes and things are so bad, it means we're not doing our job. It makes us look bad. So we don't want that to happen. We want to make sure if you're doing something that is not right, we correct it before they come. We're all good. So you should be pleased when we come to your department to look into. You should even be calling us to say, we have departments say, come look at this process. I'm not too sure. We like to do that. If we have the time to do that, we'll be pleased to do that. And we'll look into it and we'll tell you, oh, this is not all right, let's correct it. And that is a good thing. Because guess what? When the external auditor comes, they actually ask us, what processes, what areas have you looked into? And we tell them we've looked into A, B, and Z. Most likely, they're not even going to come there. So don't say, external auditor, I don't want to, those people, no. We're only here to add value to what you do, because you work hard every day. Based on this, annually, we actually sit down with your supervisors, with middle-level managers, to develop what we conduct what we call a risk assessment. Based on that risk assessment, we look into some specific area. Cash, for instance, is a high-risk area. So we look into, ask questions, what you're doing now, and we come together with a plan. That's what we call with our audit plan. We don't just go around auditing places. So we put together that audit plan, and based on that plan, we conduct our audit. We have so many. Sometimes we might want to do an area because of resources. We don't have resources to do everything. So based on those plans, we submit those plans to the Board of Regents. They approve plans. We report based on those plans, perform those audits, and we report the results of those particular audits to the President and to the Board of Regents. It's a dual reporting responsibility. So whatever we report cannot be altered. The President cannot say, we don't like your report. No, it doesn't work that way. That's why we report to the board and we report to the President. So we coordinate our audit effort with even external auditors. Like we say, when they come, they ask us, what have you done? And we share with them. The other thing we do, when you put those outline cases, we are mandated, it's not maybe, we are mandated to investigate. And so please, I'm begging you, if you don't like somebody, don't just go to the hotline case. Call them and tell them you don't like them. They might not like that, but please, don't just go to the hotline, because when you put it in there, we're going to investigate. And one time we have 10, 20 investigations, and we have to stop everything else we're doing to write those reports. No matter how frivolous it looks, we have to investigate it. So, and what that takes away, there might be a serious issue we can't get to because people don't like people. Simply put, not everybody's going to like you, at times, but just please try and work it out. Don't just go to the hotline and put it in there. I put it in there, they'll deal with it. It's affecting everybody. So please be careful before you do that, all right? We are to report issues of fraud and concern. The first one, of course, we always advise you have your immediate supervisor. There's a reason you have to report to that person. But if the first question always comes, if that person is my problem, what do I do? Of course, you're not just going to go to your supervisor and say, you are my problem, You don't want to do that. So you take it out of your department if that is your issue, okay? So you come, the ethics and compliance reporting hotline, we have an hotline. And most issues we notice here are HR related, okay? Most are human resources related issues. So you go to HR, try to follow your chain of command. Because guess what? If you call the President right away, I went to a school, my daughter was considering, and the President came up and he spoke to all the parents. You know what he did? He put his cell phone number in the screen. I was like, he said, that's my cell phone number. He said, if you have any issue, call me. But this is the 3 questions I'm going to ask you when you call me. Did you talk to the supervisor, the person in charge? What did they say? And what was the response time? So you don't just call you go first through the chain of command. If you call Dr. Donny right now, Dr. Donny, the office of, what is he going to do? He's going to call that office first to get the information. So maybe the manager don't even know, the supervisor don't know what is going on. What they're going to do, the supervisor first is going to try to find out what is going on, get that report, and go report to the president. But you should have done that in the first place. If you go through the chain of command first, then you have a good case when you take it to another level that you've done that. So please follow the chain of command. Okay, the Board of Regents Ethics and Compliance Reporting Hotline, that's what we have out there. ASU Office of Internal Audits, we're always open. And of course, if it's a safety issue, okay, please call the police department, okay? Call the police department. Like, when you even call the police department at times, they said if it's an emergency, call 911, okay? You don't just even, like you have a ticket or something, call the police, they say call 911 if it's an emergency issue. All right. What happens when fraud is suspected or reported at Albany State? This is the procedure. What happens? Of course, if you put an hotline case or something, we'll notify because the hotline is recorded, the president is notified, the Board of Regents is notified. We have to conduct those investigations, like we said. We review all the documentation, then we draw conclusion and we write a report. We do not recommend, our office do not fire people, okay, please. What are the internal audit? We only put our investigation together and report our findings. That is all we do. It's left for the divisional manager to take the appropriate actions. It's not for us. We're not management. We're separated from management. We don't recommend. That's a management function. We only investigate and report our findings. And if it has to do with local, state, or federal law is broken, then those agencies will be notified as part of our investigation, and they take the proper actions. It's not for us to do, okay? All right. How to report issues and concerns. Like I said, we have the hotline. The numbers are out there, and you can go to our website. That information, you can click there and it will tell you what to do and how to report the issues concerning fraud, waste, and abuse, okay? All right, how to prevent fraud? Why are we here? We're trying to prevent fraud, right? And like, I don't really care. I don't break no law. I'm clean. Do anybody go out there to break the law every day? Have you seen anybody wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to break the law? Anybody go out to break the law? Do anybody? No, right? By show of hands, who broke the law today, if you broke the law today? You broke the law today. Bill said he broke the law today. Tell us, Bill, what you did. Great. And that was my point. He just beat me to it. You said broke the law today, nobody. But who drove to work today? Everybody drove, right? If you drove to work, raise your hand, please. It's not a trick question. Okay. Who did 2 or 3 miles over the speed limit? Be truthful. I did. So we all broke the law. We all broke the law, but we did not intentionally break the law, right? But what do? We do that all the time. We're speeding, but what do we do if you see the blow light? What do? You hit the brakes. And at times, when you see it in a mile for the rest of your trip, you're going to make sure you pay attention to your speed limit. Is that all correct? So that's what we're doing today. People don't intentionally go to commit fraud. Some do, criminal minds. I don't know how they think, what they think. But for the most part, we are good people trying to do the best we want to do every day. We work so hard, and it pains us because of lack of training and the consequences. You go to an office and somebody, because of $20, we have to do an investigation and getting them terminated. It's just, at times, we're so sad doing those reports. But we got to do what we have to do. But what we're doing today is that blue light. You've seen that blue light, like, okay, slow down. What am I doing? But that is part of why we're doing this week. I wish we could do this every day, but we don't have the time to do it. But all we're trying to do is to prevent these occurrences, reminding people of what our roles and responsibility. And if there's anything we're doing close to a little bit, in that edge, let's clean it up. And if we don't know what we were doing was unethical or fraudulent, we correct it. And that's what we're doing. That's our blue light we're trying to sound right now before we get a ticket. Because at times, it depends on how you're going, the officer pull you over and give you a ticket, like, thank God, I don't have. And you bet for that trip, you're not going to speed anymore, right? So we don't want to even give you a ticket right now. We just want to show you that blue light so that we all get conscious of what we do. Go back to your office, do the right thing, and continue the great job you're doing. You are doing a wonderful job, Albany State, you are working so hard. Give yourself a round of applause, please. Clap for yourself, man. It's yourself, right? If you think you're doing a good job. Yeah, that's good. You're doing a good job. So what do? Part of that is setting an ethical culture. We remind ourselves all the time, okay? We remind ourselves all the time of our rules, regulation, what we need to do. The tone at the top, like we said, the managers, the president, the vice president, they assume, we look at them. They're watching what you're doing. It's just like your kids, looking at your eyes if you're angry or you're not. So they behave, they sit up when they know you're serious. But when you're not serious, they're not serious, okay? We encourage open dialogue, that's what we're doing. These forums, we come together, we talk, reporting wrongdoing, that is acceptable to report. We encourage it. It's not, you're not snitching, you just trying to make everybody better. Because if it's wrong with everything, they're going to say, you all in Albany State. It affects everybody. We don't want that, okay? Doing the little things every day, even when no one is looking. That is very important. We're trying to promote a culture of trust, openness, and transparency. So that once you say you work in Albany, those people there, they know what they're doing. They're good people. Because people listen, and what they say about us matters. We're trying to identify and connect. We have vulnerabilities, we have deficiencies, but as we open up these areas, we begin to correct them. Because at times you might not think anything is wrong with what you're doing until somebody else come and say, why don't you look at this? Oh, I didn't know that. Then we correct it. So it's a creative process. We create some anti-fraud policies, procedures, and processes in areas of high risk and other areas. We've been able to create an anonymous reporting system, free from retaliation. And that's one thing we tell people. The system, University System of Georgia makes it, they put a big tag to retaliation. You cannot retaliate against somebody that speak up, okay? So don't be afraid to speak up. You'll be protected. Educate, educate, educate. That is one of the things we're doing right now. We're trying to educate everyone. Then we rise and we repeat what we've just said, okay? Like the great investor Warren Buffett said, it's a culture more than rule books determine how an organization behaves. The culture. That's what we're trying to create. We're trying to just know what to do, what is right. It's just in you. Once, if something's a culture, you got to learn it. When it's embedded in you, it just comes naturally. You don't have to conform and make it so difficult to do what is right. It's a culture, okay? We have to create that. So who is responsible for fraud creation? Everyone. Everyone. It's you, it's me, it's everybody. Like Benjamin Franklin said, he said it takes many good deeds to build a good reputation and only one bad one to lose it. Once you do something wrong, they forget all the good things you've done. They forget all the good things you've done. Why do you think your spouse always reminds you of that bad thing you did 5 years ago? When she's angry, that thing comes up. Like, oh my Lord, 5 years ago? Seriously? But, those are the things that last, the bad things we do. All the good things we do every day, nobody remember them. But just keep doing the good thing. Just keep doing good, okay? What is ethics? And this is a big question. What is ethics? What is that thing that is ethical? What is that thing that is ethical and unethical? Criminal, ethical, it's a great area of debate, even when no one is looking. I like that. You can pretend and do the right thing when your supervisor is looking, but when no one is looking, that's when your ethics kick in. When no one is looking. It's not just about the money lost. It's about our reputation. It's about who we are. Reputation is key. Branding is key. I see our VP for marketing right there. But she'll tell you that's everything we try to protect. It's money. Because you don't see money written on it, but it's money. Because you know, when you hit the news with wrong information, you know how many people looking at applying to Albany State that might just read something wrong, and that is it? They're like, I'm not going there. That is money. We're losing students, we lose money. But when you have a good reputation, football team is doing great. We're beating everybody. ASU, you know, everybody's excited. They see like, yes, I'm going to ASU. You know, our reputation, people like us, they love us, they're sharing for us. It brings us money. It's not just, you know, so that is crucial for us. You know, remember, unethical action also include things that are legal. Unethical. Something could be legal, but it's unethical. When they say the court of public opinion, that's what they talk about ethics. When they find you guilty, no matter what the court says, you're not guilty, but they don't care. You're already convicted. You can't really live a good life anymore. And you look at like, wow. Being ethical is part of what defines us as human beings. It's that being in us, it's that humanity in us that makes us different. Look after one another, not just caring about yourself. You look at the big picture. I just said Albany State is an institution. How do my action affect Albany State as a university, not just me? I'm going to retire next, I don't care. I could do anything, I'm gone. That is you. But if you're human, you look at the big picture. This place gave me an opportunity to raise my family. They went through college. I want to make sure I protect it for other people coming. That's humanity in us. You don't just want to tear it down because you're leaving or because somebody make you mad. You don't do that. So we all own something. The fact that we're all sitting here, there was sometimes you can be as mad as something else. I don't want to use another word. Before you sat in here, but sometimes you fell in love with Albany State. That's why you're here. You were so excited when you got that letter. Letter of employment, like, yes, you know, I'm working at Albany State. I'm so excited. So keep that, just remember that all the time. It's like any relationship. It has highs and lows. It's going to get better. It's going to get better. I'm going to leave you with something. Because ethics, like we said, is what you do when nobody's watching. But at times, those actions can bring you great reward or they can bring you great pain because you cannot imagine what happens. I never know. Somebody saw me this morning, said, I saw you on TV. I didn't even know I was on TV. Thank God it was for something good. But what happened, you know, when your kids see you on TV for something not good, you know? They're growing up and they are not as strong to maintain that self-esteem. They might not want to even go back to school or something. So let's be careful. You don't know what people do. You know, be careful what we do. So let's see this real quick.
Martinez, have a seat.
Thank you, sir.
You've been very productive your first month here. You do good work.
I'm very grateful to be here.
Well, Mr. Martinez, the reason I called you in here is that I'm looking for an additional manager to oversee inventory and shipping. Carries more responsibility, but it pays more. Sound like something you might be interested in?
Yes, I would.
But before I make my final decision, I'd like for you to work a shift in that department next week. You'll see a list of 17 crates coming in on this sheet. Now, one of those crates will be going to a separate warehouse. Mr. Martinez, when you report the inventory, I'd like for you to report that we received 16 crates.
17 are coming in. But you want me to write down 16?
Yes, that's right. I have another purpose for the extra crate. You are on my team, right? because I really can't use people who aren't on my team. Tell you what, you think about it tonight and give me your answer in the morning. Make it 10 o'clock. But I'll need to know if you really want this job.
Good evening, sir.
Javi, we need this job. For the first time in a year, we're able to pay the bill.
I know, Carmen, but he made it very clear. If I was not a team player, he did not want me there.
Maybe it's not wrong. It just looks that way. He's the owner of the factory.
He asked me to write down false information, Carmen. He asked me to lie.
I don't want us to go back.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Martinez. How are you this morning?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
I don't know yet. Please, have a seat. I trust you've had time to think about our conversation yesterday.
Yes, sir, I did.
And what did you decide? Are you on my team?
Mr. Tyson, I am very grateful to have a job here. But I cannot do as you have asked.
And why is that?
Because it is wrong, sir. And it would be dishonoring to my God and my family to lie on that report.
Do you understand what this may do to your job here?
Yes, sir, I do.
Javier, may I shake your hand? Young man, you just gave me the right answer. I've been looking for someone to manage inventory and shipping, and quite frankly, you were the last person on my list. But I need somebody I can trust. Will you take the job? We'll adjust your pay.
I would be honored to, sir.
Good. Then the job is yours. Now, Walter will go over all the specifics with you, and I'll make the announcement to the staff on Monday. Congratulations, Javier. Oh, and Javier, thanks for your integrity. It's rare.
Well done, Javier. After 6 times, I was getting discouraged.
It might lead to a reward, or it might lead to something else. So please, be mindful of your actions. And this is our contact information. And now I'll open it for questions. But remember what David McKee said. He said, true education does not consist merely in acquiring of a mere fact of science, history, literature, or arts, but in the development of what? Character. Character matters. Thank you so much.